Hello and welcome, guys. Thank you for joining me again for another night of Facebook Live. I also want to recognize those that catch the replay from YouTube and or SoundCloud. I am your host, Anntricia Bray Smith, author, educator, and public speaker. It is indeed a blessing to be here with you tonight, as tonight we are starting our mini-series on Untapped. Untapped, that is our mini-series for tonight. So as you guys are logging on to join me tonight, please go ahead and like and share this video. As you guys are logging on to join me tonight, please go ahead and like and share this video so that others on your timeline can enjoy the conversation or join in the conversation with us as well. Untapped is a series of topics that I'm going to be addressing over the next several nights to address some of the most serious issues that we as women in particular deal with, but it's a little difficult sometimes to really get to the meat or the root of our issues. And so I want to be a sounding voice for those things that are shameful, that we don't necessarily like to talk about. But as we are logging on and we're giving you time to like and share this video, if you see there in the comments section, I have put a link to our YouTube channel. Now that is going to be important for you to have that information, because if you're not already subscribed to our YouTube channel, everything that I do live, I put it over on our YouTube channel so that you guys that are catching the or missing the lives or catching the replays, sometimes you're missing it from your timeline. And so if you like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, you can get those topics on demand, streaming straight to your phone or other device straight from YouTube. So after I do lives, I store them there for you to go back as a reference to those topics that we do from night to night. In particularly, there's weather that we're dealing with here in Southeast Oklahoma now that is expected to come in. And so if that be the case, or if we get disconnected from Facebook for some reason or another, then I have it here streaming from Zoom so that I can still record and upload it to YouTube and or SoundCloud. So it's important for you to use that link, and so that you know you can get the content that you need on various topics that we've covered over the past 150 days. So if there's something that you want in particular, you can always go back and grab that from our lineup on YouTube. Nonetheless, I hope that each of you are well today. I'm looking forward to doing this series on Untapped. At the same time, it is a little bittersweet. Some of the content is a little more difficult to present than others, but being that it's impossible for me to really know who's watching and who's listening and who catches the replays, you know, I must indeed cover a wide variety of issues that we fail and neglect to tap into. And it's because sometimes our issues run so deep, they're so deeply rooted into our culture that it's difficult sometimes to find words to express many of the things that we struggle with, many of the things that we're trying to overcome, but also those things that haunt us from day to day. So I am the face of whatever it is that I'm talking about here tonight. I don't ever want anyone to feel like they're being exposed or being put out on Front Street or in a glass window for everybody to see. So I am that face. So you'll be hearing me refer to me or we or I or something of that nature. So that when I address these issues, you know that if you fall into those categories of the things that I'm talking about, and some of them are very shameful places for us until we're able to find our voice and find a way to talk and communicate the things that we deal with from day to day. So for you guys that have already logged on with me, as I see a few of you already, please go ahead and give me a shout out. Let me know that you're there. Hey, Keisha, how are you? I'm glad you're here with me tonight. Looks like Erica is here with me tonight as well. I appreciate you guys being here with me. It helps to have someone to know that I have your support as I'm standing here to be a support and a voice for each of us as well. So go ahead and like and share this video, like I said. And tonight, I just want to give you an overview, an intro of some of the things that I want to address in this mini series. And so I'll probably be for the next several days just talking about some of the things that we ourselves have not really tapped into. And this came to me as I was beginning to speak and begin to process more and more of the layers of my life. I've always felt like I was a strong person or a woman who has overcome so many things. But when I really took a look at the dynamics of my life and the issues that I know that I deal with from day to day, I realized that there are so many deep rooted issues in my life that I have not even scratched the surface to begin to deal with and pull apart some of these areas in my life. So I appreciate you guys that are here to go through this with me. And if you find yourself in the words that I'm saying, I want to help you find your voice. Help you find your voice, because there are so many young men and young women today that are dealing with issues that they don't have words for. They don't have words for. They're still suffering. They're still self-medicating. They're still showing a wide range of behaviors and anger and bitterness. And so it's important that when we find our voice, then we're able to help others by really standing on what our purpose is. I am one that believes that whatever life has dealt me, it is providing for me a blueprint for my life. It's providing me the blueprint for me to stand on my purpose. And that's the reason why I sit here and I educate and I empower and I encourage night after night, because that is the purpose. However, I've said so many times before, I can't do what I do without tackling my own issues. I can't do what I do without being real with myself, without being honest, and without really taking a good look at what it is that I'm dealing with from day to day. And guys, when I look at it, I really have a lot of issues that over the years I've learned to suppress. I've learned to suppress those, and I've learned to cope in other ways and minimize things that have gone on in my life, or things or traumas that have occurred in my life. I've learned how to minimize that as well. And so tonight I just want to give you an overview or intro to what some of these issues are that we are dealing with, but for whatever our reasons are, we still have not tapped into what this looks like and how it has impacted our life. And many of it is because in our culture, in the culture of women, in the culture of Black women, in the culture of women all across the nation, we have been conditioned to not talk about certain things that go on in our life. We have been conditioned to just take whatever we're dished and deal with it in whatever way we can. So many of us still feel like we're nothing. Many of us still feel like we're not counted, or we're not valuable, or that we're not worthy. And so with that being on the forefront of our mind, many of the traumas and things that we deal with, we begin to suppress it and internalize it, and we sit on it. And yet there are things throughout our day, things throughout our lifetimes that continues to produce triggers. So we're emotional, we are angry, we're frustrated, we're sad, we're happy, and emotions and things are all over the place. But as a result of that, we're unstable. Because we don't know our value, we tend to live a life that is out of balance, and we tend to allow others to tell us or validate us, and really tell us, and we give them the power of who we are and where we stand in life. So many of us, we don't know our worth. We don't know our worth, and many of us have. We're open now to talking about the molestations. We're open now to talk about rape. What about when rape for that woman is inflicted by her dad? What about rape for that woman is inflicted by her brother? What about if rape for that woman is inflicted by her cousin? What about rape inflicted on that woman is by her uncle? Then it gets a little more shameful. It gets a little more harder to process and to talk about that, because then that woman still feels like she has to protect her abuser. Okay? What about those women that are raped by their spouse, or by a boyfriend, or by a male that they trust or felt like they could trust? It still sometimes keeps us from tapping into and processing the information that happens to us, because it means exposing who our abuser is. And so these are difficult places to be. And I know that tonight I'm sitting here and I'm talking about women. And it's because women is my platform. But, when you flip that around and you look at it from the male perspective, males are raped as well. What about from mom's boyfriend, mom's girlfriends, or aunts, or cousins? So there is really no gender line here, because the same way we women deal with issues as it relates to being sexually violated, men are sexually violated as well. And it is not something that that we talk about. So we don't tap into that layer of healing without really being able to have a voice and to express who violated us, how they violated us, and then begin the process of healing. So it is something that we need to address. We need to address. I think about the young men and women now going off to college and things like this, that could potentially be with friends that they trust, or be with family members that they trust. And on the flip side of that, they could be potentially being raped and drugged and abused and sexually assaulted and things like that. And they live with that. And it looks like behavior. It looks like they're acting out. It looks like they're self-medicating. It looks like so many things that if we don't tap into this and give validity and give a voice to these things that we deal with, and begin the process of healing and knowing that it's okay to talk about it, and it's okay to express who did these things, and begin our any level of healing with this, then we're going to continue the cycle of waking up every day and with these triggers and these things traumatizing us day after day after day. And other things that we don't want to talk about, or that is shameful to talk about, is conception. The sometimes the story behind our conception, how we were conceived. And I talked to many young women who have daughters or have teenagers who are in this situation to where they find themselves pregnant, or they find themselves in a situation to where their child is possibly with child, and we feel some kind of way about it. But one thing I always try to remind women when I'm talking with them is that we don't know the story around how the conception is. When you got a teenager who is out and they're sexually active, or have been sexually abused or sexually violated, I don't know of any teenager that just want to wake up one day and say, oh, I want to be a parent. And if they are not talking, or if they have been violated some kind of way sexually, we don't always know the story around the conception of that young teen conceiving a child. We don't know. And we're so quick to assume, we're so quick to point fingers, we're so quick to judge and say, oh, she just like her mama, or oh, he just like his daddy, or whatever the situation is, without really having the conversation or asking the questions and helping that child process already what can be a traumatic experience for them, just being a teen parent. And so when we don't have all the details, we really need to stop and really take a look at what it is that we're so quick to judge. What it is that we're so quick to judge. And then abortion. Abortion is another thing that, we got so many different opinions about that. We want to judge those that get abortions. We want to judge those that don't get abortions. We just got opinions all over the place. And so until we really have the details, and until we really have the conversation behind the manifestation of the behaviors and the things that we see, guys, we really don't know. And you guys, you look here at me sitting here as a voice talking about these things, but all we have to do, we don't have to go out our mirror, in front of our mirror, to see some of these things that we were once victim of. Whether it was we were a teen parent, or whether it was we were sexually abused or sexually assaulted, or whether or not we had an abortion, whatever that is, when we look at that, we know that all of that, there's a story around it. I don't know of any teen parent that has parented a child in their teens that don't have a background story. Teens are not just out having sex just because they can go out and have sex. Many teens that are conceiving, they have been abused. They have been sexually assaulted. They have been traumatized from years of sexual trauma from a dad, a brother, uncle, a cousin, a granddad, whatever that looks like, and so all these things do is just manifest one on top of the other, and there seems like there is no escape. And these are areas of healing that sometimes we do not tap into. We don't tap into it because the roots of it are so deep, it's so traumatic that who do we tell? Who do we tell? And when we do find someone that we feel like that we ought to be able to trust, or someone that could relate to us in some kind of way, sometimes even they inflict pain on us. And it's because hurting people hurt people. And so we see the women in the church that we feel like we ought to be able to trust or tell our story to. And sometimes they violate that trust. Sometimes they violate that trust. And let's just get real with it, guys. Some of us cannot hold water. Some of us cannot hold water unless it's something about us that we do not want told. And so that trauma just goes on from one to the other. And again, guys, tonight I see so many of you, others of you joining on and joining me tonight, and I appreciate you being here. Feel free to send me a shout out. Let me know that you are here. Go ahead and like and share this video if you haven't done that already. We're talking tonight about an intro to the mini series that I'm doing, Untapped, and it's about the areas in our healing, or the areas in our life that we have yet to tap into over the years because of the shameful nature of some of the traumas that we deal with. And some of us deal with so many shameful traumas. It's shameful to us that culture has taught us throughout the years to suppress it, or not talk about it, or to hide away. We don't feel like there's a safe place to really deal with these issues that we deal with. And so they result in many unstable behaviors, and they manifest itself in so many different ways in our life. And so I just feel like it's necessary to do this series, because after all that I've talked about over the past 150 days, there are still some of us that don't know how to begin to tell our story. We do not know how to tap into it. We do not know who we can trust to really give a voice to some of the issues that we deal with. And so it is hurtful, to be stuck in situations that we feel like there's no one that we can trust, or no one who can understand some of the issues that we deal with. Then there are some of us who have lost children. There are some of us, our children are dying, our babies are dying, whether they're dying by murder, whether they're dying by early birth or stillborn deaths as infants, some with SIDS, which is sudden infant death syndrome, as babies, whether they're dying in accidents, whether they're dying in negligence and in somebody else's care, whether we're losing them to drugs and alcohol and other addictions, whether we're losing them to death by suicide, whatever that looks like for some of us, this is reality. And these are things that, we don't have words for. We cannot explain what we feel when we lose our children to death. Death is an enemy to us, and it's hard sometimes to find words. And then, some of us, we choose that when we say abortion and things like that, but some of us don't choose. Some of us give birth to our babies, or some of our babies are stillborn. And what do you say? How do you find words for some of the things that we deal with that are so traumatic that if people knew, we feel like they would look at us shamefully. We feel like they would no longer look at us the same. We feel like they cannot uh, feel or understand our feelings and the emotional roller coasters that we go through. And guys, all of that may be true. And that's not what I'm saying here. What I want to say here, and the reason for establishing this community and speaking to you the way I am, is because that's an area still that we have to allow ourselves to heal. And that's not to say that we forget about our children. That's not to say that there are no guilt and things like that. But it's saying that there are some areas of our life that are harder to process than others. And it's one of the things that I would like to see. There are so many young mothers and mothers out there that have lost kids. We've lost our kids for one reason or another, and the reason behind their death is not as important as it is that we are women who are losing our children. We are losing our children, and regardless of how that death occurs, it hurts. And so some of that we don't have words for. We just simply do not have words for that. And so to be able to find words for that and be able to process that anger and that guilt and that frustration and some of the things that we even feel spiritually as a result of losing a child, all of these are really valid feelings, and it's part of the human process of our grief. And some of us are shamed in that. Some of us are ashamed to say that, we've lost a child and we're angry with God, and that there are so many things that we don't understand because to a religious person, we're taught that, you can't be angry with God, you can't question God, and you can't do this and you can't do that. And that hurts us. So we still hold all of this resentment and things like that in, that it's sometimes hard to process. Other things that we deal with are sexually transmitted infections that people just do not want to talk about. We don't want people to look at us differently because we are infected with sexually transmitted infections that no one wants to talk about, or because we have a spouse that is abusive and we're being abused and no one wants to talk about that because maybe I'm the first lady of the church, or maybe I'm the lady with the degree and things like that. And so we hide behind so many things, and we do not have the level of support, or we do not have the vocabulary or the words so that we can really hone in and get to our level of healing. And so this is why this mini series is called Untapped. So I'm going to talk about over the next several days things that we have failed to or neglected to tap into so that we can begin our process of healing. I do appreciate you being here with me tonight for this introduction. As tomorrow night, we're going to take one topic at a time, and we're going to dig in until we get this stuff covered. So I hope you understand what this series is about. I hope you'll be able to join me once again. Don't forget to like and share this video. Also, there in the comments, I put the link to our YouTube channel. So if you miss these lives, or if for some reason we get kicked off of the live due to the algorithms and things of that nature, you can catch it on demand streaming from YouTube. Okay? I appreciate you guys being here with me tonight. I am your host, Anntricia Bray Smith, author, educator, and public speaker. And I will see you right back here again tomorrow night, 10 p.m. Good night, everybody.